Hello, hello. Here we are again, coming to you from Broadcast Team Alpha and the Paranormal World Show. You know, it's the show for the thinking global citizen that is not afraid to step outside of the box and look around and see what's out there, except for what's on TV. And that's why this is a lot more fun. My name is Agi, and I'm the host here now. And we are coming to you from 40 different platforms all over the world because we are also transmitting on and through the wonderful platform of the Cosmic Awakening Network. And because of them, we are also on Roku, 3 TV stations, and a bunch of other places, and hordes of social media platforms. Check them out. Go to, Conscious Awakening Network and check them out. There is probably about 50 different shows on there that talks about all kinds of different things that you can't live without. So just go check it out. And before I introduce the guest here, I want to tell you how to connect with us. Reach out to us through broadcastteamalpha.com. Send us a message from there. We'll get it and we'll get back to you. If you are watching on YouTube right now, please subscribe and check the bell, because that way you will get a little message letting you know where the next video comes or the next show comes up. And that's also the best place to watch us, because that's the only platform where we are monitoring the chat room. And that way you can participate in the show. You can ask questions, and we might just be able to answer your questions on the air. So that will be the place to be. Nori and I have also created a spiritual, I guess I should call it a spiritual think tank, where we do incredible things. It seems like we are creating out of seemingly nothing sometimes for people. And if you want to be part of or checking it out, we meet on Sundays at 2 o'clock East Coast time, 11 o'clock Pacific. And send us an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com. That is themastermindconnection@gmail.com. And I'll send you some information, and also you'll get a link to come and check it out on Sundays or Mondays and Wednesdays when we meet also. And yes, I have a guest with me, and I want to say a few words about him, because he was on here once before with us, and we were listening to some phenomenal things that is going to happen in your future. There is some controversy around many of these things, but the bigger controversy is around what governments are telling you. So you should listen really close, because there is meat here, there is light in it, and there is pearls for those that want to pick them. I have Bill Mee with me. I want to say just a few things about him, and that is that he was 4 years in the military, and after that he was educated as a computer software engineer and worked for General Dynamics and several other mainstream big companies. But then he stepped out of the box. He put fire to the box and kicked it away so far, I don't think he knows where it is anymore. He is now a light worker, and he's a researcher, and he's part of our mastermind. If you want to talk to him, come there and you can. So welcome to the show, Bill.
Hi.
All right. Now, there's so much going on out there now. It seems like in one day, we get more material now, more to research and figure out than we did in months before.
That's true.
So there is this thing that we are, well, there's controversy there too, but we are going through a raising of consciousness, which will result in a form of ascension for some. And I would love to talk to you about that, because there are people who have extraterrestrial contacts, and they are getting information from the quantum reality, and they are talking about what they see and what they hear. And I want to hear some of those reports from you.
Okay. Well, let me start out a little bit on my background and how I got to where I got where I am today. I was working, like you said, as a software engineer, and I started listening to various Patriot radio programs on shortwave radio. And when I started realizing that, okay, the news I'm getting from these guys is like night and day between what the mainstream media is putting out. And this was back in, say, 1993, 92, 93. And I was starting to kind of go through a wake up phase during this time in my life. And I think everybody will go through this phase. And it basically starts out to where you realize that the reality you thought you were living is a complete lie compared to the truth. And you realize everything that you thought you knew doesn't work the way it really works. And everything you thought was true is not true. And that's what I was going through, this, what you call cognitive dissonance, where you're hearing one thing, but you don't want to believe it because it kind of makes you feel like if you believe it, then your whole life is a lie. So you have this resistance and you kind of fight it, and you go through a denial phase and you say, no, that can't be true. It can't be true. But then you keep hearing it again, and it keeps coming back until it gets to a point where you finally have to accept it. When you finally accept it, then you finally go through an anger stage because you realize that you've been lied to your whole life. And that's what happened to me. And I was waking up about an element on this planet called many names. Back then, it was referred to as the Illuminati. Now it goes by pretty much the name the Cabal or the Deep State. These are various names for it. And those names kind of woke me up. Okay, there's a group or a cabal of individuals that are trying to control this planet and control the human race. And once you understand that, it just kind of wakes up everything about your being. But then you go through this phase. Okay, if that's true, what can I do about it? And you start to see how powerful the cabal is, and you start to think, there's not really much I can do. And so you kind of go into a little bit of a fear state because you start hearing about all their plans and, the depopulation of the planet that they're trying to orchestrate. But at some point you have to get past the fear. But one thing you will do when you go through this wake up phase, and this happened to me, is you will make a commitment that you will never be deceived again. And that's what happened to me. I said, I'm never going to let myself go back to sleep. Once you wake up, you want to stay awake.
No,
So I decided, okay, I'm going to have to keep up with the news, and I'm going to have to find alternative news sites that have the real truth, because I'm not going to get it from the mainstream media. So what I did is I started looking for alternative websites on the internet, because the internet was just getting started back then. But the main thing, the big question I had is, and also listening to Art Bell late at night, was this paranormal aspect, primarily UFOs. What are they? Why are they here? And who are they? What's their purpose? What are they all about? And I had a real deep desire to get at the truth as to what these UFOs are all about. And I kept hearing a lot of negative stories about people being abducted and taken on board and prodded and probed and fluids taken and so forth. And I thought, well, that doesn't sound very positive. But it wasn't until I met Dr. Stranges and I learned about his encounter with Commander Valiant Thor that I was finally and started attending some of his meetings, that I realized, okay, there are some good ETs out there. They really do exist, and not everything is dark. The big UFO movement today, it's all about, okay, are they for real? Well, we've gotten way past that. We know they're real. The question everybody wants to know is why are they here and who are they? And I started getting the answers to that when I started reading lightworker messages. And
Yeah.
people might ask, well, what are lightworker messages? Well, I started reading these messages that were channeled, and they were from different individuals that had gone through a great awakening, had developed some of their telepathic abilities, and they were able to channel various higher dimensional beings. Some of them were ascended masters, some of them were the archangels, some of them were the fairy kingdom, some of them were even the dolphins, but some of them were galactics. And when I started reading the messages from the galactics, it started kind of giving the big picture in their messages. And I started getting the bigger picture of what this planet is all about. And what I learned from the galactics reading these messages, and at first I didn't just buy into them immediately, because a lot of what was in those messages contradicted my religious background, which was Christianity. And I fought that for a while, and I said, well, wait a minute. These messages are talking about reincarnation all the time. We have many lives. That's not taught in Christianity.
Yep.
So I kept digging and digging and researching because I wanted to know the truth on that. I said, well, if these messages are real, which they seem to be, but then there's aspects that I don't agree with. I have to find the truth about these things. So each time I would come across something that I didn't quite agree with, I'd do more digging and research, and reincarnation was one of those. And once I convinced myself, after reading Brian Weiss's book and hearing many interviews on the radio and hearing testimonies, and I asked for guidance. I said, I asked my guides to give me the answer about reincarnation. I just got flooded with it. So once I was convinced that reincarnation is for real, then that got me to the point to where I realized, okay, if Christianity is wrong about that, then Christianity is probably wrong about a lot of other things as well.
Yeah.
And
What
that
else
way,
is wrong?
yeah, that way I was able to kind of let go of that religion, because religion is one of the biggest traps that will keep you locked into a paradigm that will prevent you from moving forward. You've got to let go of that religion. Okay. And it doesn't matter what religion it is, but it's a set of rules that keeps you locked into a paradigm that you got to let go of. And it's all about really just spirituality. And if you want to go beyond that, it's just nothing but pure consciousness. Okay, that's really what it boils down to. What I learned from the Lightworker messages, from reading them after I was convinced that things that I was unsure about, I got proof enough to go further. I started reading these on a regular basis. And what I learned is that, okay, there is a divine plan at work here. And it really started um, you know, thousands and thousands of years ago. But the big picture that I learned, that's I think the most important for the viewers, is that everything in this universe is conscious, and everything that you think is not really sentient is sentient. For instance, this planet is a sentient being. All the suns, all the other planets, they're sentient beings. Everything has consciousness. So when I realized that, okay, that kind of changed my whole paradigm a little bit, because that's not taught in religion, that everything has consciousness, that our planet is a sentient living being, has a spirit, has a soul, has a consciousness. So when I kept reading these messages, they said that our planet goes by the name Gaia or Terra, and that she is moving into a higher vibration. And they said that the reason she's moving into a higher vibration is because during World War II, World War I, World War II, there was so much death and destruction and negativity and darkness on the planet that she was near death. And so she cried out, because she is a living soul just like we are, that she did not want to die. She wanted to rise back up into her former glory that she was during the times of Atlantis, when she was at a higher vibration, like in the fifth dimension. And so when she cried out, not only did the other planets hear her cries, but Prime Creator heard her cries as well. And Prime Creator decided to honor her wishes and he sent the Galactic Federation here. So the Galactic Federation is here to honor Gaia's wishes and to make sure that she ascends back up to her former glory into the fifth dimension. And the reason that she fell was during the times of Atlantis, there were two groups of people that were actually battling against each other. One was the children known as the Children of the Law of One, which followed light and love. And then there was this other group, which was more like the cabal that we have today, and they were known as the Sons of Belial. And the Sons of Belial and the children of the Law of One were always going head to head against each other. And eventually, the Sons of Belial won out when they took over the crystals. Atlanta was powered by these big crystals, and they use crystals for everything. We're a little bit behind in that area, but I do think we'll catch up eventually. But Atlantis used crystals for healing. They use crystals for transmitting energy. They use crystals for memory to store things.
Even
and
communication.
Yeah, communication. So they had these giant crystals, and the Sons of Belial wanted to take those over and weaponize them and turn them into weapons. And that's what they got control of them, and they powered them up, but they overpowered them, and they actually blew up. And this information I got from Archangel Metatron in one of the Lightworker messages. He had a great, like 10-page article on the whole history of Atlantis and what caused its fall. And he said it was due to the destruction of the giant crystals. And when those crystals blew up, well, before they blew up, they sent some sort of a weapon to Lemuria, which was a contemporary civilization at that time, and they destroyed Lemuria. And then after Lemuria was destroyed, the crystals blew up and Atlantis was destroyed afterwards. And then, of course, it took probably several hundred years, but the continents gradually, they sunk down below the water and were completely submerged. But during that time, there was so much fear that was created on the surface of the planet that it caused Gaia to lower her vibration. Everything in the universe is energy, and all energy carries a vibration, and that includes planets. So Gaia's vibration is she has her own vibration, but her vibration has a symbiotic relationship with our vibration on the surface. So if she raises her vibration, it raises our vibration. And if we raise our vibration, it helps raise her vibration. And the same thing works the opposite way. So during the times of Atlantis, the vibration started dropping from 5D down to 4D because there was so much fear on the planet. And emotions carry a vibration as well. So fear is your lowest vibration in the universe, and love is your highest vibration. So when the people on the surface of the planet started going into fear because their continent was sinking, beneath the water, it created the Gaia's vibration went from 5D to 4D, and then eventually it went down to 3D. Now, before it went completely down to 3D, there was a group of Lemurians that decided to go into the inner Earth and go into the hollow Earth because they knew that would maintain a high vibration of 5D and it wouldn't be dropping. So that's what happened to them, is they actually went into the hollow Earth and the inner Earth. But most of Atlantis was destroyed. And when that happened, Gaia dropped to a 3D level, and we've been at 3D up until I think the last, I'd say September of last year is when we graduated and we moved into the fourth dimension. And our goal is to move into the fifth dimension. So the Galactic Federation is here to ensure Gaia's ascension. So what's going to happen here is as the planet continues to raise its vibration, we have to raise our vibration if we're going to stay on this planet and ascend with Gaia. So that means if you have a low vibration of 3D, you need to get it up to 4D, and then you need to get it up to 5D. So that's where we're at right now. We're in the fourth dimension, and we're trying to hang in there and adapt to these energies, because the way the galactics are doing this is they're bombarding Gaia with these high vibrational love energies, and some of these energies are coming from the great central sun, and it's helping her raise her vibration. And so as she does that, we get to feel those energies if we're receptive to them, and then they will cause what's kind of unique about this ascension that's never been done before in the universe, it's my understanding, is that the planet is ascending, but we're going to be ascending on the surface with her at the same time. So this is the first time that a planet is ascending with the people on the surface of the planet ascending with her.
Yeah, we
But
get
this
a
is
chance. You get a chance to grow into it, and it is, I guess, it's our responsibility to make sure it happens for us, and it's not easy.
no, it's not.
Remember the saying that you will become like the people you associate with?
Mm-hmm.
In other
Yep.
words, we got to be a little careful, because
Right.
if we are good people, then we feel we have a higher vibration. But if we are around negative people, that is, well, maybe not so good, it affects us. It holds us back. We need to clean our environment, and that includes getting rid of some people. And you know what? That could include family.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the hard one.
That's true. As you go, you'll go through the stages of waking up, and you'll realize that the people around you are not necessarily raising their vibration at the same rate you are. Okay, so that's why you could have family members that are not necessarily on board with you or your thinking or your vibration. They're, everybody, like you said, is on their own, and everybody's got to work on raising their vibration. Now, some of the best ways to do that is number one, meditate. If you get into the silence and learn to quiet the mind and just meditate,
Yep.
it will help open up the third eye. It will help raise your vibration, and it will get you prepared for this ascension that's coming. Now, I know a lot of people are busy and they don't have time to meditate, but just a little bit every day, just if you did it for 3 minutes, it's going to help,
Yep.
And other things you can do is you can get out in nature, get out of the city, because Gaia herself carries a very high vibrational frequency. And if you get out there in the trees and the forest and in nature, you will raise your vibration. Animals also have a high vibration, being around animals. But also you can raise your vibration by watching the food that you eat, okay? Because most of the ascended masters say that if you're going to be ascending with Earth, now is the time to start kicking meat out of your diet. And the reason they say that is because most animals are killed in a state of fear, and fear is your lowest vibration. So when they have that fear, it permeates that vibration permeates their tissues. And when you eat that dead meat, you're taking that low vibration fear that's permeating their tissues and you're taking it into your body. And so it's going to keep your vibration low.
Yeah.
So they're saying graduate more toward live fruits and vegetables. And I would go organic for sure because the pesticides, but try to eat more fruits and vegetables. I mean, you can't go 100% without meat, then just, gradually work your way there. Just keep cutting more. That's what I did. I cut out red meat. I cut out chicken. Then I finally cut out turkey, and then after I did that, there was nothing left but just fruits and nuts and seeds and grains and stuff like that.
So
But
you are just on vegetables and fruit now, then, huh?
yeah, I'm just a vegetarian now. I'm not a vegan because I do try to work out, and you got to get some protein, and you're not going to get a lot of protein from just fruits and vegetables. So I do eat dairy.
I don't
So
know. That's the protein. Ask any gorilla; they'll tell you there's a lot of protein in that vegetable.
well, there are some vegetables in fact, I get my principal source of protein is vegetable protein. I mix up a vegetable protein shake every day, and so that helps a lot. But I want to get some added protein, and dairy, as long as it's organic and the animals were treated humanely, it's a great source of protein. So that takes me out of the category of being a vegan because I do eat some dairy, but the only dairy I really eat are mostly eggs and maybe cottage cheese and maybe yogurt. And I try to go organic on those as much as I can.
I listened to somebody here not long ago. They talked about the advantages of not eating red meat, and Nori has quit red meat, and one of my housemates here have quit red meat, and I am down to almost next to nothing of it.
Yeah.
And there was a reason for that, because according to this person, he said that when an animal is taken through the slaughter, they know what is happening. And there's a lot of fear. That fear vibration is settling into the genetics and the blood. And when you eat that, you get the fear. And you just told us the fear is one of the lowest vibrations there is. And when we ingest that, we are absorbing that lower vibration. So I think you helped me here, because now I might just kick myself into gear and cutting it out altogether also, because this just dawned on me when you said that.
Yeah. And in fact, what I did is I just, like I said, I just took one meat source at a time and kicked it out till I was down to just turkey. And then I finally just kicked turkey out. And then I was only left with fruits, vegetables, grains, and nuts and things like that. But I did keep my dairy just simply because I wanted to get a little bit more protein than what I was getting with just being strict bacon. You know, if you're strict bacon, it's really kind of hard to get. It depends. If you're not trying to build any muscle, then you bacon's fine. But I needed more protein. So and I remember reading that that as you kick these out, the red meat and fear-based stuff, it will raise not only your vibration, but you'll start to kind of get a higher consciousness to go with it, and that will kind of be part of the whole picture too. And it will be gradual. You may not notice it like overnight, but you will notice gradual. What's happening right now, I noticed with these energies that are bombarding the planet and raising the vibration of Gaia, is they're going to start to hit you and raise your vibration. And when that happens, you start changing your desires. So things that you were doing, you may not want to do it anymore. Or foods you liked before, you may not like them now anymore. Or things just start to change as you start raising that vibration. One thing I wanted to say, Augie, that I think is important though, is this ascension is really all about Gaia. The reason the Galactic Federation is here is to honor her wishes and make sure that she ascends to the fifth dimension. It's not about us. Okay, we just get to go along for the ride, provided we can raise our vibration. But they're really here to make sure her wishes are honored. Now, the reason she cried out and didn't want to die, and Prime Creator sent the Galactic Federation, was because if she died, then everybody on the surface would have died. And there's a purpose for us being here. And so they sent the Galactic Federation to ensure that your wishes are honored. And the way that they're doing that is kind of difficult because they have to follow what's called the Prime Directive. And the Prime Directive means that they cannot interfere with our free will. Okay, because the Prime Directive says one civilization is not to interfere with the evolution of another civilization. So they have to kind of hands off in that regard, but they have to honor Gaia's wishes at the same time. So they're honoring her free will, but they can't interfere with our free will. So when there's a conflict between her free will and our free will, then the Galactics will always choose her. They will honor her free will over her free will trumps our free will. Let's put it that way. So if mankind is trying to set off a nuclear missile, well, that would destroy Gaia. It has ramifications throughout the entire universe. And so the Galactics have permission to intervene and stop a nuclear missile because that would cause Gaia to die and her wishes would not be honored. See, so they're trying to honor her wishes and follow what she wants. But at the same time, they can't interfere with us, but they can. I found out there's two conditions, according to what the Lightworker messages said, where they can intervene. Actually, they can intervene if Gaia's, if she is threatened, like with a nuclear missile, they can intervene, or any other thing that would kill her, they can intervene. And also, if the dark ones on the planet try to alter the ascension timeline. If they try to do something that would prevent us from ascending or anything that would alter that ascension, they can intervene. Okay, because that's still, they've got to honor Gaia's wishes and she wants to ascend. So if they're going to try to stop that, they can intervene. So those are the two conditions that the galactics can intervene on, and they do it all the time. That's why you won't see any nukes go off, because they're watching everything on the planet. They will not allow nukes to go off. They will not allow this ascension timeline to be altered. So they can intervene, and they're watching very closely everywhere on the planet. So we have nothing to really fear. And if you notice the mainstream media, they're always bringing up fear about nukes and about this and that. Forget it. It's not going to happen. Once you know that, it kind of brings peace in your life, because you can kind of say, okay, I don't really have to worry that anything bad is going to happen, because this planet is going to be ascending no matter what. And the galactic is going to make sure it happens. So we just got to work on our vibration, keep working to raise it up every day, and meditation, get out in nature, eat high vibrational foods. Also, be careful what you watch and what you read. Now, I know there's a lot of negativity out there, and it's kind of a fine line here. And it's kind of difficult, because you want to be aware. You don't want to be ignorant of what's going on in the world. At the same time, you don't want to focus on something that's really negative. Okay, because that will lower your vibration. So there's a fine line here. You got to try to be aware, understand what's happening, but at the same time, let it go, release it, send it love and light, and then move on and keep your vibrations as high as you can. Okay, don't let all the negativity that's going on the earth lower your vibration. So try to focus, to make sure you have a balance. Now, even though there is this, darkness going on the planet, make sure you're feeding yourself some good high vibrational material. Either light worker messages, which I try to read every day, or at least maybe watch an inspirational movie or something that's going to uplift you and raise your vibration. That's good, because you got to do that every day.
Yeah. I know, because I hope they're watching really close, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Because if they screw up and miss a few, look what happened to Mars.
Right.
We know there was a nuclear conflict on Mars because there's xenon gas, and that can only be created through a nuclear discharge.
Yeah.
There is a lot of that gas in the Martian atmosphere. So yeah, that's what happened when you have a nuclear war or whatever it was up there. And that was 2 million years ago. And you can see that the half-life of it has brought it down, so they can kind of pinpoint when that nuclear discharge was. It's about 2 million years.
Yeah. There's a planet, it's my understanding there was a planet that was between Mars and Jupiter called Maldek.
Yeah.
And Maldek, like you said, they blew it up. It was a nuclear thing that just blew up the planet. And that's what currently makes up what we see now as our asteroid belt. And when that planet blew up, it ripped off the atmosphere of Mars and destroyed the surface population there. I think there's still lots of stuff going on in the inner parts of Mars. But anyway, and I understand that we even have some, the Secret Space Force has some stuff going on Mars right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to find out all about that and all about these future things when they get ready to disclose this information, because there is going to be there's going to be about 10 days of disclosure from what I'm understanding. Now, as we move into this higher vibration, what's happening right now is, as these vibrations continue to rise, you're going to be experiencing what's called ascension symptoms. Okay. And these are temporary things, but everybody will be going through these ascension symptoms. They're usually things like aches and pains, or maybe something that you don't feel very well. And you're probably going to waste your time going to the doctor, because it's going to tell you there's nothing wrong. And they'll go away eventually. You just got to deal with them. And a lot of times these ascension symptoms can be actually things where you'll feel a pain, maybe on your, say on your shoulder or your back. And that could have been because, say, a previous lifetime, you had an experience where you got stabbed in the back. And so now what's happening is these vibrations continue continue to raise, they raise our vibrations. So all these experiences that we had, not only in our childhood, but even the experiences that we had in former lifetimes are now coming to the surface, because these energies will force all the negativity that we had in our past, whether it's this lifetime or in previous lifetimes, to come to the surface so that you can deal with it and then forgive whoever you need to forgive and then release it and let it go. And so that's what's happening as we let these old traumas that happened in our past lifetimes, as they rise to the surface and we let them go, that also frees us up and prepares us for ascension and gets us now to a higher vibration. We got to let these traumas come to the surface, and then we got to release them. And a lot of people, if they don't, a lot of times they'll have these ascension symptoms of negativity. Maybe it's anxiety or depression from a previous thing that happened in a previous lifetime. And I suggest, if you have to, seek out a light worker and maybe go through a regression therapy or some sort of hypnosis therapy where you can find out what actually happened back then, so that you can then finally understand it and then comprehend it and then release it and then let it go. So there's a lot of people that are probably going through a lot of that, the traumas that they experienced in previous lifetimes, but that's all part of the ascension process.
Yeah, and I think that if somebody have that kind of trauma and they kind of feel like it was something serious that holds me back, I highly recommend hypnosis, because I think there's very few things that cannot be corrected by it.
Yeah, it's mostly just becoming aware of what actually happened. And once you become aware of it, and you can then kind of look at it and examine it and then send it love and light, you can then let it go, and it will go. It just needs you to acknowledge the fact that this happened and you're aware of it. And once that awareness comes, then it makes it easy to release it and let it go.
Yeah, and when you go back, when you can get in the middle of it, then you can observe it. You don't have to relive it again. You just observe it so you understand it,
Yeah.
and then you can heal it. And
Yep.
for something like that, talk to Nori. She's my co-host on Broadcast Team Alpha, and she's a hypnotherapist, and she's good at it. So
Yeah.
talk to her. She can figure something
Yeah.
out.
Okay. Yeah. And so anyway, now as we go through this ascension process, what's going to happen now is you're going to see a lot of the old 3D structures starting to crumble. So we're going to see the banking system. It's going to crumble because it's based on an old slavery paradigm, and anything that's based on control and slavery and manipulation, you're going to see it crumble. And that's what's happening all around the world. So a lot of these dark things that are going on the planet is simply the old 3D structures crumbling. And what's going to happen is there's new 5D structures that are going to be replacing them. So, for instance, they're working right now behind the scenes on a new financial system called the quantum financial system. And this system is going to be replacing the old current fiat system. Now, the current fiat system is controlled by bankers, and the new quantum system is going to be a decentralized system. It's not going to be based on a central bank anymore. We're getting rid of central banks, and we're going to have just this quantum financial system where you're going to be your own banker. You're your own bank. You take it everywhere you go. You're the one that controls it. Nobody else sees your account, and it's going to be highly secure, and you'll be the only one to be able to access it. And I hear they're getting it ready, and it's all going to start off with getting the countries to back their currency with gold, because we've got to go back to a sound money. And when you have sound money, you've got to have it backed with either silver, gold, or precious metals, or some asset that's of a resource of some kind that has some value to it. Because the fiat system right now, they can just print this money up out of nothing, and it just contributes to more inflation every time they do it. So we've got to get rid of that system. And right now you're seeing the old system right now, it's crumbling, even though they're trying to prop it up and keep it going. Now I hear the Galactics would prefer that we have a smooth transition as much as possible. They really don't want to see us go through chaos and a total financial collapse. So they're trying to make this as smooth as they can. Now I heard recently that the Earth Alliance, which is the the group that's working with the good military and the galactics. They're known as the Earth Alliance, and they're the ones that are part of developing this new quantum financial system. And they, I heard, have put up $21 trillion. Now, at first, the report that I got came from Phil Godlewski, but I've listened to other sources that did readings on his information, as well as access some of the higher dimensional beings. And they said, yes, it's true that there was $21 trillion that was put up, but he did not get all his facts correct from his source. They said that the information is not quite what he said. I think from what I got from my other sources that were looking into this, they said that they did not, that the Earth Alliance did not put any liens on anything, and they said that they did not pay off the current national debt of the United States. They said if they had done that, that just helps keep the cabal in power. So what I think they did is we're moving from back in 1871, the cabal created or turned the United States into a corporation. So we've been running under this corporation, and most people are not aware of it. So we have not been a republic since 1871. It was still there, but it was dormant. They didn't just do away with it completely, but it was dormant, and we were now working under a corporation. Well, Trump and his work while he was president was to do away with the corporation. And when he went over to and visited with the Queen, he signed something and she signed something to get us out from under this corporation. Yep. And so the corporation, from what I understand now, the only thing it's pretty much dead, and it's already bankrupt. It just hasn't been announced yet. So I think the $21 trillion that the Earth Alliance put up, it came from the gold that I think they recovered from the Vatican. It was just tons and tons of gold that was recovered in 2022, I think it was, from a tunnel that was going from the Vatican to Jerusalem. There's an underground tunnel, and it was just lined with gold. And it took, I heard, 65 plane loads of getting that gold from there over to the U.S. And then what they did is they're going to use that to back the new quantum financial system.
I see also the between the British Crown, which is the the Queen's family, or I guess now King's family, and the Vatican, and now the Chinese. Between those three entities, we have enough gold to cover an awful lot of that new currency. But I've seen the pictures of the gold deposits in the actually in the basement of the Bank of England, which is where the Queen stores it. It is a 30-meter long room where there are stashes of scaffoldings full of gold, just all to this high from the floor.
Wow.
And you can run the numbers on that gold and the value of it. And I did, and it's into the trillions. So yes, I think we can do it, not just with gold, precious metal, oil, land.
Yeah.
There'll be all kinds of stuff in that basket.
Right, exactly.
Global business currency.
That's my understanding. Yeah. So in addition to that gold, you just mentioned it at the Bank of England, there's also this vast amount of Vatican gold that they recovered. The Vatican's, they've been stealing stuff for I don't know, thousands of years, and gold is probably one of those they've been stashing for thousands of years. So I heard there was 65 plane loads that it took to get all that gold over here, and I don't know where it is now. Some people speculate that they went to they stored it in Mount Cheyenne. And that mountain is hollowed out, and it's very secure. And so
Cheyenne Mountain that's the safest place in the country, because there's no gold in Fort Knox anymore. Actually, that's not right. There's about $2 million sitting in a front display cabinet, and that's all. All the rest of it is gold plated.
Right.
That incident when they tried to sell gold plated, I think,
it was
to the
tungsten.
Chinese.
Yeah, it was tungsten steel with just some gold coloring on the
Yeah.
surface.
And the Chinese were smart. They drilled it and they found that it's fake gold. So
They
they
were mad.
yeah, you're gonna get us the real thing, or we're gonna dump back the trillions of notes on you, and you are bankrupt within 24 hours. So
Right.
yeah, we got them the gold.
Yeah. And
Some
Russia's moving, I heard, to a digital currency, but it's also going to be gold backed. Okay. So all these countries are going to be backing their currency with gold. And you have to do that to be part of this quantum financial system. Now, I think there's 209 countries that are going to come on board. Maybe not all at the same time, but they're going to gradually keep coming on board as they back their currency either with gold or silver, like you said, some other resource like oil or something valuable. And when they do so, they're going to be this quantum financial system is going to work. Now, the thing is that before they back everything with gold or assets of some kind, there's some countries in the world that they have undervalued currency. So they need to get their currency up to speed. Now, the reason their currencies in some of these countries are undervalued is because of war. Because when a war happens in a country, usually their currency just devalues completely to where it's not even worth hardly anything. Well, that happened in Vietnam, that happened in Iraq, that happened in Zimbabwe. And so their currencies are considered undervalued currencies, and they have to they're going to have to go through what's called a currency reevaluation in order for them to be on an even playing field so that they can trade with the rest of the world. Because, if their currency is only worth pennies, they can't trade with the rest of the world because nobody wants to do business with them. So those currencies are going to be revaluing. And those people that have those currencies, they're going to be partaking into what's called the global currency reset or currency reevaluation, which I believe is going to kick everything off. That's going to be the very first thing. Now, it may not be announced publicly when they're going to do that, but the word will get out to the people that have these currencies, and they will be exchanging those currencies for a much higher rate, and they stand to do quite well. And a lot of people are going to be doing so well that they're going to be doing humanitarian projects. In fact, they said they will actually give you a higher rate if you let them know that you want to do some sort of humanitarian project when you go do your exchange. So, I'll be doing mine. So anyway, now another thing that's supposed to kick in, but I don't know if they're going to use this name or not, and that's Nasara. And they actually came up with a global version of it called GUSAR. It stands for National Economic Security and Reformation Act. And then there's the global version of it. And these are basically different things that are going to help restore our sovereignty and also restore. What happened is when we got under that corporation in 1871, they continued to monetize us as individuals and like our birth certificates, and those birth certificates are monetized and traded on the market. Well, all that's got to go away. And there was a lawsuit back in the 70s by the farmers, and it was called the farm claims.
Yep.
And what happened was the farmers were getting ripped off by the banks. They'd get a loan from the bank, and then the bank would say, okay, they would raise the rates to where the farmer couldn't afford the rates anymore on the loan. And before you know it, the bank would foreclose on the farmers. And the farmers saw that this was happening not only to just, it was happening all across the board to farmers all over the place. So there was a class action lawsuit that was filed against the banks, and it worked its way all the way up to the Supreme Court. And in the 70s, the Supreme Court, there was a colonel that represented the farmers. I forgot his name. I think it was Schwetzinger, something like that. Anyway, he represented the farmers, and he made sure there was no funny business going on in the courts, and that they didn't pull the wool over the farmers' eyes or anything. He was there to research and make sure that they were truly represented. And what happened is during that Supreme Court case, they found out that the United States was not a republic. They found out that we turned ourselves into a corporation.
Yep.
So the Supreme Court ruled that there needs to be a committee that needs to form and it needs to do the research to see what it's going to take to restore us back to being a republic. And that committee ended up being called the National Economic Security and Reformation Act. And that legislation I heard passed, and it secretly passed, but it is in the Federal Register, I think, as far as I know. And but they might have expunged it somehow. And then, of course, there was threats by the cabal that said if any congressman or senator even utters the word Nasara, they'll take him out. They're not gonna allow it. They'll allow it to be brought up. But I understood that President Clinton, he committed treason, and Navy SEALs put a gun to his head and made him sign off on it, or they were going to reveal the treason he committed. And I understand he did sign off on it in year 2000. So it did pass. So it passed Congress. The president signed off on it. So it is the law, but it just hasn't been announced yet. Now it was going to be announced on September 11th in 2001. It wasn't ready to go yet, but it was the law, and it was going to be announced. And they actually had gold in building, I think it was building number 7, to help back it up. Well, guess what happened? The cabal decided they didn't want Nasara to be announced, and we got something else. We got the Twin Towers destroyed, and the gold was stolen.
Yep.
So it's taken 20 years now since that happened. But what the White Hats did, and the Earth Alliance, what they said is okay, we were going to announce it back then, but we got stopped. But that doesn't mean we can't be working on it and getting it done behind the scenes. So that's what they did. They just kept on working on it, even though they didn't get it announced yet. They just started getting all the things in place, and they knew one thing they had to get in place was something to get the financial monetary system back to the people and out of the hands of the central bankers. And that's when they started working on this quantum financial system. And I think it's going to be working with the Starlink satellites that are all around the planet. And you're going to go in and you'll get you'll be able to access it using these special Q phones, which are kind of a special phone that's going to be able to work on biometrics, so that only you'll be able to access your account. And we hear that the currency reevaluation is going to kick everything off. Then we're going to get about 10 days of announcements that's going to be exposing the cabal. The Earth Alliance is going to be doing this. They're going to expose the cabal. They're going to reveal the old financial system is history. We have a brand new financial system. It's going to be gold backed, and the gold backed currency, I'm hearing it's called the USN. I don't know why they call it that. It stands for US note, but I think they're going to change the name maybe even later. I'm not I've seen pictures of maybe what some of this currency is going to look like. I don't know for sure if that's going to be it or not, but they will announce the currency. And this currency is going to be, there's going to be the paper currency, which will be gold backed, but then there's going to be a digital version of that. It's also gold backed. And the reason you want the digital version is so that you can wire the digital version, say, to somebody overseas, or to a friend of some kind. And so now some people are also saying that the cryptocurrencies will not be allowed to remain. I heard the Earth Alliance said that the cryptocurrencies will not be allowed to be part of the new quantum internet unless they are backed by gold or silver and they're ISO 222 compliant. And what that means is that there's a special protocol that's used for messaging from one server to the next for this quantum financial system, and it falls under this ISO 20022, and the messaging protocol that's stipulated in that, it has to be compliant with that. And if it's compliant with that messaging protocol and the currency is backed by gold and silver, then it will be allowed on the new quantum internet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen to these cryptos, but I think what's going to happen is if they're not going to be allowed, if they're just like a fiat crypto where it's not backed by anything, I have a feeling that what's going to happen is the people that are in those cryptos are going to they're probably going to just cash their crypto out for the local currency of where they're at. and then they're going to move that into the quantum financial system. Because there is going to be a period of time where the local currency, like here in the US, you're going to have like 30 days or 60 days to
Yeah.
get, if you have currency that's in your house or under the mattress or wherever you store your money, you'll have a certain amount of time to get that into the bank so that it can be part of the new quantum financial system. But after that cutoff date, then it's history. And what that's going to do is eliminate a lot of your black market stuff that's funded by cash, like drug running and sex trafficking, all that sort of stuff.
Let me tell you something about having a gold, precious metal backed currency. There already is one like that. It's called the Liberty Dollar. This is what it looks like.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a warehouse receipt. This dollar is, it says 110 here. This is 1/10 of an ounce.
Okay.
Backed by 1/10 of an ounce. And on the back side, it's a negotiable instrument. So
Yeah.
it can vary in value as the value of silver goes up.
That's interesting.
So, and for those of you that want to look into this, I am. And it is, you go to www.idfa.nl. They're over in the Netherlands. And this is Holthouse that put this together again. You may remember him from Silverback. What they're doing is that they're printing these, and people send their Federal Reserve notes in, and he goes and buys silver and back these and send them back to people. So there are stores in Tucson now that will take these for purchases.
Okay. Well, isn't that how they kind of did it in the olden days? You
Yeah.
had nobody wanted to carry their gold or silver with them because it was so heavy. So you had it stored, but you got a receipt showing this is your gold.
There you go.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. So now, right now, I'm hearing that the people for this currency reevaluation to kick off, they have to deal with what's called historical bonds. There's a lot of people that had these historical bonds, and those are currently being redeemed right now.
I got a load of them.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Man, I got in the billions of those.
Yeah, well, they're redeeming those right now for certain. They're going through a kind of a series of certain ones at a certain order, and I know that there's different names for them. There's the Pacellis and a bunch of different names for them. Some of them go back to World War II. But those are being redeemed, and then when they finish up with these bonds, then they're going to kick off this this currency reevaluation. And then after they kick off the currency reevaluation, I think that's when we're going to see our announcements. And then the announcements are going to announce all the changes, and the cabal will be exposed. And they may take over the media when they do this, because I'm understanding they have the ability now to just completely take over all airwaves. And this will be the only thing you'll get. So like if they take over the TVs, no matter what channel you turn to, you're going to get the same thing. You'll get it on the TV, radio, everywhere. So they're going to be airing it, I hear, 3 times. So if you have a day shift, you'll get to hear the repeat version in the evening, or maybe the third version after that. So it'll be aired 8 hours a day, 3 times a day for 10 days. And they're going to try to give us, people ask information like, well, what are they going to tell us? Are they going to tell us about clones? And the answer I heard the Earth Alliance said, they're gonna give us as much as we can take. Because there's so much that most people don't have a clue about. They're gonna just be so blown away, and they're gonna go through a lot of cognitive dissonance, which I did back in the early 90s. So, but anyway, it's going to be important to hear what's being said. When we ascend into 5D, one thing that's kind of important is, we're going to come into our higher abilities, because we have this 12-strand DNA, and 10 strands were made dormant by the Anunnaki. And those other 10, those 10 dormant strands now are being activated by these energies that are coming in.
Yeah.
So these now our DNA is being activated. We're starting to get what's called these higher abilities like clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, telepathy. And these are part of that higher dimensional DNA, those 10 strands. So those are coming online right now, and that's why you're seeing more people starting to channel information, because they're waking up as those strands get activated. They're coming into their higher gifts and they're starting to utilize them. So we're seeing more and more people utilizing these higher gifts now, and you're going to continue to see that as we ascend into 5D.
Yep. And I see we are getting close to the end of the show here, but if people want to connect with you, how would they go about that? I know you got maybe a channel that you keep sending out information. Excellent
Yep.
stuff.
They can contact me on my email address, which is wmee@earthlink.net, or they can go to my Telegram room. I have a Telegram room, and I suggest everybody just join it because I post stuff every day. And the way you can get to my Telegram room by searching for, the name is called New Earth Happenings and Libertarian Projects. Now that libertarian is just a word that was made up because I was with a friend by the name of Ren Owens, and it's a term that she created to represent a wider. If you look up the word humanitarian, it only deals with welfare and it only deals with humanity. Yep. And so she wanted a word that would deal with animals and nature and provide love and not just welfare. And so she came up with a word called libertarian. So I adopted that word. I kind of like it myself. So I'm using that word as well. So if you look up New Earth Happenings and Libertarian, it's LOVEITARIAN, Libertarian.
There you go. And another place you can find him is on the Mastermind. So
yes.
Send us an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com, and I'll send you information and a link, and you come and visit. And chances are Bill will be here. He usually is. So you can connect with him there too.
And Augie, maybe you could post the link to my Telegram room below the player.
Yeah, I could send it to you and you can put it up there. I think it gets more attention if it comes from you.
I mean, like when you post this video.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Put it underneath the player where the people can just go down and look at it and click on it there. Or I also will send it out. Or anybody gets on your mastermind, I post it in the chat room a lot, so people can get there. It's kind of a private Telegram room, so it may not show up if you do a search. But if you get on Mastermind, I'll post a link there, or look below the player of this video.
That'll work. Okay. Well, thank you, Bill. This was interesting, and we'll do this again.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, then, and for all of you out there on 40-some different platforms, come and visit us on Broadcast Team Alpha on YouTube, where we are monitoring the chat room, and we will see you there.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.